everyone, welcome back to Michelle Reads and Vlogs, and today I thought we'd do the end of year book tag. So this was a book tag that I think was originally made by Ariel Passett. I only know that because I recently watched Jananie in The Story Ain't Over, and she's just done this book tag and she mentioned that it was Ariel Passett that first did it. Whether it was or not, I'm not sure, but either way I'm going to link both of their channels down below because I love them both and have watched them both for years. So if it was from her, brilliant. If not, I'm sorry if I have got the original person wrong. So the end of the year book tag is a number of questions designed to make you think about your reading for the last couple of months of the year. So let's get into it. So question number one, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? The answer to this one's quite quick because actually no, all of the books that I've read this year or started to read this year I have finished. I haven't even DNF'd any. I have literally read every book I've started. I would say there was one audiobook. So it was a collection of 2 George Orwell books on audio. So I read or listened to the first book, which was Animal Farm, and the second one is 1984. So technically I haven't listened to the second part, I haven't listened to 1984, but they are 2 separate books. So I guess that doesn't really count. There are loads of books from last year, 2022, the year before, 2021, even the year before that, 2020, that I have started and not finished. But to be honest, at this point, I'm writing them off. So they're not 2023 reads. It's history. It's in the past. Do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? So this is an interesting one because I haven't actually thought about my TBR for November or December yet. I know that I want to get some Christmassy reads in. I know that there are some new releases that I want to jump into, like Iron Flame, which is coming out in November the 7th. But that's not really an autumnal book. I would say the one autumnal book that is really floating around at the moment, really popular, is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I always want to say the Pumpkin Spice Latte. I think that's like the play on words for it, but the Pumpkin Spice Latte, I've just done it again, the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So that book is everywhere. I know I'm a bit late with it because it should really be an October read, but I might get into that in November. It is really popular and it is the vibes, and it's very much cold autumn here at the moment. So we've almost gone from being like the end of summer to the beginning of winter. Like we've almost missed autumn out here in the UK. Like our seasons are so crazy at the moment. So it's gone very cold. At the moment I'm sitting here with my Oodie on my lap. I've got a hot water bottle on my lap. So it's very much that autumnal and winter vibes at the moment. So yeah, I still might read that book. Question number 3, is there a new release you're still waiting for? So I've kind of already mentioned this, Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros, the 7th of November. I'm very much looking forward to. I am at the moment doing a reread for Fourth Wing, which I am filming. I can't wait to get that video done and up. And to be honest, just rereading it is so exciting. I'm loving it. It probably even more the second time, even though it is a bit more of a critical video. I'm kind of looking at the good, the bad and the ugly, but I still love it. Despite its flaws, I am obsessed. So Iron Flame, I just cannot wait for. And we know nothing about Iron Flame other than it's dealing with the fallouts from the first book. So if you haven't read the first book, we don't really know a synopsis for the second book. Other than that, we've also got Bookshops and Bonedust by Travis Baldree. So he was the writer of Legends and Lattes. So that comes out in November as well. Excited for that one. We've also got Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, which I might not get to straight away, but should also be a good book. I did grow up playing a bit of chess with my dad. I was never like brilliant at it, but I always enjoyed it. I haven't really played for years, but I do like watching chess videos on YouTube. That might sound a bit random. So yeah, Check and Mate should be also a good book. So probably those 3 are the main ones that I am waiting for in terms of new releases. The next question is, what are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? So again, I know I've kind of mentioned it all through this video, but Iron Flame has got to be number one, like absolute priority. Other than that, probably Bookshops and Bonedust I will read when it comes out. And for a third one, it's really difficult to actually think, because as I said, I've not thought of my November, December TBR yet. I have got lots of beautiful books that I do want to read, but I don't know what my priorities are with them. So for number three, I actually don't know. So I'm just going to leave it at those two. So Iron Flame and Bookshops and Bonedusts are my definite two before the end of the year. Probably other than that, I'd probably have to put a Christmas read in. That probably sounds really random. So I did get a couple of Christmas reads in my book haul. Where on earth are they? I've put them over here. So I did get these two, The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. I did get Baby It's Cold Outside by Emily Bell. I think I've got another Christmas book as well, like Christmas Shopaholic or something. So probably a Christmas book, at least one, but in terms of which actual one, I don't know. Is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favourite book of the year? So this question's a difficult one because obviously Iron Flame, if it does become my favourite book of the year, would not be a shock because I love Fourth Wing. It is one of my favourite books of the year. I have got some other favourites as well. So Fragile Threads of Power, which came out by V. Schwab. But again, that wouldn't be a shock if it was a V. Schwab book. So no, I don't think that there are any books that I could read and would become a favourite. I think it would be completely out of the blue. I do have some brilliant books on my shelves, but again, it's not a shock. Like if I were to read The Book of Fire by Christy Leftieri, I love her. She is such a clever writer. I love what she writes about. That could be a favourite book. But again, it's not a shock. It's a weird question, isn't it? Like a shock would be if I read something and it became a favourite just out of the blue, like In Memoriam by Alice Wynne. If you've not watched my reading vlog for that, I'll link it. That was such an amazing book. Amazing. In the same way that kind of The Book Thief is amazing. Like I'm probably never going to read it again because the kind of mental imagery it gave me was so horrific. It's about World War One. Was it about World War One or World War Two? Pretty sure it's World War One. So I don't need to ever read this again. It will stay with me for the rest of my life. It was, yeah, brilliant. Very underrated. And the final question for this book tag, have you already started making reading plans for next year? And I guess the answer to that is no. No, I haven't. I haven't even looked at many new releases for next year. I know that there are some big ones at the beginning of the year that I've seen pre-orders for and things. So I think, is it called Funny Story by Emily Henry? I think that's a new one. I'm going to just double check that. Yeah, so Funny Story is by Emily Henry, so that will definitely be one that I get. When is it out? It says pre-order here. I have pre-ordered it. I think there's a funny story here. I think I've pre-ordered it twice on accident. So I'm going to need to look at that. I write in my little book, which was from a book box, all of my pre-orders down, and I think I've written it twice. So most people are the opposite. They don't write them down, so they accidentally pre-order more than once. I'm going to have to deal with that. I didn't even think about this. But yeah, that comes out on the 25th of April. So Funny Story by Emily Henry. Other than that, I actually can't think of any off the top of my head that are coming out. Oh no, I can. Isn't it amazing once you start thinking about these things? So the next God Killer's coming out. When is that? Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure it's called Sunbringer. Yes, Sunbringer is the next one in the... Oh, it's going to be a trilogy for God Killer, and that comes out on the 15th of February. Ah! So yeah, okay, so to the answer to that question, yeah, there's definitely a couple of books then. So I've got a couple of obviously anticipated releases there. Otherwise, I want to go back and read the Schwab books that I've not read. So I talk about being a V. Schwab fan. I have my little Schwab shrine going on over there. But there are past books of hers that I've not read yet. So I definitely want to read some of her backlist. I want to read Juno Dawson, Her Majesty's Royal Coven, at some point, because I just watched the V. Schwab event for the Fragile Threads of Power tour. I watched the London event online where Juno Dawson was the person who was like in conversation with V. Schwab. They were brilliant. I've never seen Juno Dawson on anything else before, and they were hilarious. It was probably the best Schwab talk I've ever seen. I've seen 3 now all this year, and yeah, they were amazing. So I definitely want to get into Juno Dawson's work because just listening to her talk about her writing was fantastic and very similar to V. Schwab in terms of like their history, their backstories. So yeah, so that is my plan. Otherwise, I suppose we could say here, Goodreads reading goals. So this is a big one for me, and I'm going to talk about it in a future video. So my reading goal for this year, I think, was 40 books, and I'm on 60 something. So my plan for next year is definitely going to be a minimum of probably 52 books, because that's 1 per week, probably a bit more. So I might look at actually how many I read this year and have a goal of similar. So that's one of my plans, but numbers aren't really that important. It should really be quality over quantity. But I do want to get a few good books read. I feel hypocritical sitting here talking about books if I've not read that many books. So I do want to have a high reading goal on Goodreads that's still going to be achievable. So they are the questions for the end of year book tag. If you've got any more questions for me, feel free to put them in the comments down below. I will try my absolute hardest to answer any questions you've got, whether they be about reading or anything else. Let's try and keep them about reading though, that makes more sense. If you liked this video, please remember to hit like. It does really help with the algorithm, and I would say I'm not really sure why, but it's kind of obvious. If people like the video, they're going to push it out to more people. So if you liked it, like it. If you're not subscribed already, please consider doing so if you want to see more bookish content from me. I will make sure any books mentioned in this video are linked down below. I'll make sure that any other accounts, booktubers that I've mentioned in the video are linked down below. And I'll also put the questions down below in case you want to do this tag as well. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye.